So just going to make a quick video of the new frame and guts and suspension of the 2012 XXC 1000. Oh, where do we start? Standing up, I guess. This is the under the seat. Got a whole new plastic thing under here. Buds connectors right there. Fuel kit. That's your storage, I guess, on the new Renegades. Rear brake master cylinder. Fuses for the power steering. And a typical battery. It's actually just laying on its side on the new bikes. I thought there was a big giant battery in the back of these things first time I looked, but it's actually just a normal battery with just laying on its side. Now, what else do we got? There's a big old throttle body, stepped up to the big intake boot going over to on the intake system. It looks like a big giant cork to me. And our pre-bent shifter linkage. And somewhere in there is the rear head valve cover to set your valves. That's going to be an interesting task, I believe, when it comes time for that. Front one doesn't look a whole lot different than on the older models. Other than that, there's the big Stroker 800. Now, what else do we got here? The whole newly designed front suspension. Obviously the sexy as hell Fox shocks. Fox podium. And here we have a very interesting cooling system. Very interesting. And behind that is the power steering unit. Hopefully I have no troubles with that. Here's the new front drive shaft that has no U-joints in it. None whatsoever. One less thing to maintain. Worrying about wearing out. Right there's the oil cooler. Not sure how efficient they are. I know that Ford Super Duty trucks use something extremely similar. It's obviously 4 times bigger, but I know that Ford uses them as well. And there's the whole A-arm situation. It's quite a bit different than the old Gen 1 frame. Totally different. Both the upper and the lower A-arms are in a whole new setup. See how there's the whole big bracket. It's kind of hard to see. You're not going to bend the frame hitting a stump with these front tires. There's the giant front brakes, dual piston caliper. One thing I noticed on these new bikes with the new front end, the tie rod actually sits inside the wheel. So on a stock wheel, you could probably put a 12-inch wide tire on the front on stock wheels. This is because this is inside. So that's a nice little bonus for the guys who want some big fat rubber on there. And we've got our ginormous radiator. I wish this camera would zoom back a little further, but the rad is massive in comparison to the old style. And up on top here under the Speedo, it's all changed from the previous models. So here's the airbox intake snorkel, factory, CVT, intake there. It's my messy bunch of connectors for my factory plug-in hand warmers, the new ones. There's a new style coolant reservoir, pressurized reservoir. Very nice little system. I like that idea. It's going to work very well. Then you get your normal fuse box. And then underneath just there's a big rubber piece there that's keeping the splash down and all that crap. And there's a mystery connector. This is a fun one. Ta-da! It's a big one. Must be something special on the Outlanders under there. Or something. Fancy new shifter. Dual brakes. Mini rocks riser. Piece of shit steering stem. Here's the new air filter I'm sure everybody's seen by now. Clip. Pop. There you go. Fancy. And I guess we'll check out their kick-ass rear suspension. Again, Fox. One of the dual rear brakes, which are awesome. Very, very awesome. Brakes on this thing are super nice. That's the fancy new trailing arms they've built. And obviously the big heavy new external sway bar. Looks like all the joints in here it looks like anyways, they're the exact same bushings that are used in the control arms on the old models. And well, they're used on the same ones. Same bushings on the new ones, but yeah, pretty sure it's all the same shit. There's grease fittings everywhere. I haven't even counted them all yet. I just know there's grease fittings everywhere. You can even grease the bushings, the frame bushings for the sway bar. Grease fittings everywhere on these things. It's very nice. There's a big beautiful muffler off the Honda Civic. Some more pictures of the frame underneath. Looks like they basically built it out of a Gem 1 frame mod. Took the centerpiece out. Here's the tail lights on the new bike that are actually, they're not like a big closed off unit. Can't get the light behind it. But they grow on you. I didn't like them at first. Thought it was kind of crappy looking, but other than that, you know, they kind of grow on me. Big fancy muffler, getting a little warm. This is the new grab bar in the back. Rear diff. Notice there's no CV boot protectors on the inside on these, but it's no big deal. All they do is collect snow and mud and tear boots apart anyway. The new drive shaft that's significantly longer and significantly less angle to it from the Gen 1 style. There's another look at the trailing arm system and the kick-ass brakes, and the big multi-bolt super sealed CVT cover with the most important sticker on the whole bike. And then there's the giant factory heat guard they put on. Very nice. You don't feel any heat riding this thing. It's pretty impressive actually. You don't even notice that there's no heat until you really think. Here's the CVT exhaust snorkel. Again, blows all the heat right down into there. So that's kind of a good place to get rid of it, I guess, for factory setup. And this is just the other side of the front. There's some more views of the Gen 2 frame on the front. Like these A-arms are just crazy. Very, very nicely done. One thing I wanted to show was these, the way this Gen 2 frame is set up, you got way more ground clearance under these, under the footboards. See how that's all sloped up? Way more solid. They get rid of that aluminum crappy bracket that used to be under there. Geez, look at the mud. That's a disgrace. I gotta wash this thing. But yeah, you got way more ground clearance. And you don't have to worry about destroying them cheap crap aluminum things that are on the older bikes. And that is that. Without tearing more shit off to show you more shit, that is it. This is the inside of the new footboard. It's just a little bit styled a little bit different than what it used to be, but it's the same thing. One thing I did notice, which I didn't like on my old bike, is the drop between the foot peg and here is not as dramatic as it used to be. Like I used to kind of ride with my feet on here and my heels kind of on the bottom, and I found that, you know, my foot is, it's kind of hard on the feet and on the ankle sort of thing. But it's not such a big drop here now if you ride like that at all. If you don't ride like that, you wouldn't have noticed. Anyways, that's the innards of the kick-ass new Renegade. Thank you, BRP.